The daughter is 11 years old. It is a Tuesday morning during the rainy season in southern Nigeria. She is sitting on the edge of the bed she shares with her younger sister. A wrapper covers the school uniform she changed 20 minutes earlier. Her mother and her father's older sister enter the room and close the door. The younger sister has been sent next door. The girl has been crying because she has started menstruating and nobody had prepared her for what she would see. Her mother sits beside her. Her aunt sits on the other side and takes her hand. The mother explains that menstruation is normal. It happened to her. It happened to the aunt. It will now happen to the daughter every month for many years. She explains how to use the cloth, how to wash herself, and how to hide what is happening from her brothers. The aunt says very little. Her presence is part of the family practice. As one of the older women in the lineage, she is expected to help introduce the girl to this stage of her life. The daughter understands that her body has changed. She does not yet understand how much the household will now begin to change around her. Her mother will watch her more closely. Her movements will receive more attention. Conversations about marriage will become more serious. The family will begin treating her fertility as part of her future, even though she is still a child trying to finish school. The daughter, mother, aunt, and household described here are composites. The details come from many real households. No single family is being portrayed. This episode examines how households assign different work, expectations, risks, and responsibilities to female and male bodies. The previous episodes followed the household, child labor, marriage, and religion. All four depend on bodies. The household needs bodies that cook, clean, give birth, earn wages, migrate, send money home, care for children, and support parents. It does not ask the same things of daughters and sons. Women from Africa, the Arab world, and South Asia have been documenting this difference for decades. Our Thiam, a Senegalese sociologist, published La Parole aux Négresses in 1978. The book appeared in English as Black Sisters Speak Out. She wrote about female genital cutting, polygamy, reproductive control, and the lives of African women in their own words. Nawal Saadawi was an Egyptian physician, novelist, and activist. Her book, The Hidden Face of Eve, examined female circumcision, virginity testing, marriage, and religious authority in Egypt and across the Arab world. Saadawi had undergone circumcision herself at the age of 6. She later described that experience as one of the first moments in which she understood the political control of the female body. Fatima Mernissi, a Moroccan sociologist, wrote about gender and authority in Muslim societies. Her books Beyond the Veil and the Male Elite became foundational texts in the study of women, family, and Islam. Nigerian scholars also developed frameworks for understanding gender from African histories. Molara Ogundipe Leslie proposed Stiwanism, which stands for Social Transformation, including women in Africa. She wanted a language for African feminism that dealt directly with patriarchy while remaining grounded in African societies. Oyèrónkẹ Oyèwùmí argued in The Invention of Women that Western scholars had imposed their own gender categories on Yoruba society. She showed that age, seniority, and lineage had often played a stronger role than the male-female division in organizing social life. Ifi Amadiume documented similar flexibility in Igbo society. In Male Daughters, Female Husbands, she described institutions through which women could hold authority, inherit status, and marry other women for the continuation of a lineage. These histories matter because the gender system found in Nigeria today was shaped by several periods. Some parts come from older customs. Some came through colonial law and Christianity. Some developed through the wage economy, modern states, migration, and the global labor market. The result is a system that places a large share of domestic, reproductive, and caring work on women. The cost appears clearly in maternal health. Nigeria has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. A major international report covering the year 2020 estimated that 1,047 women died for every 100,000 live births in Nigeria. The global target for 2030 is fewer than 70 deaths per 100,000 births. Nigeria's rate was about 15 times that target. The same report estimated that Nigeria recorded roughly 82,000 maternal deaths in 2020, accounting for more than 1/4 of all maternal deaths worldwide. Many Nigerian women give birth without a skilled health worker. The 2018 Nigeria Demographic and Health Survey found that fewer than half of births were attended by a skilled provider. A large share took place at home. This places women at greater risk when labor becomes obstructed, bleeding begins, infection develops, or an emergency cesarean section is required. In 2024, the Nigerian government announced a policy providing free emergency cesarean sections for poor and vulnerable women. The policy may save lives if hospitals have trained staff, operating rooms, blood supplies, medicine, transport, and reliable funding. Those conditions remain uneven across the country. One result of inadequate maternity care is vesicovaginal fistula. A fistula can develop during prolonged obstructed labor when pressure damages the tissue between the bladder and the vagina. The woman may then lose control of urine continuously. The condition can be repaired through surgery, but many women live far from hospitals that provide the operation. Young girls face particular danger when pregnancy occurs before the pelvis is fully developed. The Baba Ruga Fistula Hospital in Katsina has performed tens of thousands of repairs since it was founded in 1992. Each surgery represents a woman whose body carried the physical cost of early pregnancy, inadequate medical care, or both. Female genital cutting is another way communities shape the female body. Human rights organizations often call it female genital mutilation. Many practicing communities call it female circumcision. The terminology changes according to who is speaking, but the practice involves cutting or altering female genital tissue for reasons that are not medically necessary. UNICEF estimated in 2024 that more than 230 million girls and women alive today had undergone the practice. About 144 million were in African countries. Around 80 million were in Asia, and several million more were in the Middle East and diaspora communities. The prevalence is extremely high in Somalia, Guinea, Djibouti, Mali, Egypt, Sudan, Eritrea, and several other countries. Millions of girls remain at risk each year. The practice can lead to severe pain, bleeding, infection, complications during childbirth, sexual pain, and psychological injury. Nigeria's national prevalence is lower than that of the highest prevalence countries, but the number of women affected remains large because of Nigeria's population. Rates also differ sharply across regions and ethnic groups. The Southwest has some of the highest levels in the country. The North has lower prevalence than many outsiders assume. Nigeria criminalized the practice under the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015. The law has had limited effect where families and communities continue to see cutting as necessary for marriage, respectability, purity, or belonging. A law can prohibit the act. It cannot enforce itself inside every household, clinic, or ceremony. The gendered body is also visible through unpaid work. Women perform most unpaid care and domestic labor across the world. This includes cooking, cleaning, collecting water, caring for children, assisting older relatives, tending to sick family members, washing clothes, and organizing the daily life of the household. International Labour Organization estimates place women's share of this work at roughly 3/4 of the global total. Nigerian time use studies have found that women spend several times more hours on unpaid care and domestic work than men. This work keeps the household functioning. It also allows other people to attend school, take paid jobs, operate businesses, and migrate. National economic statistics rarely count it as production because no wage changes hands. Its absence would stop large parts of the economy. Women also dominate paid domestic work. Across the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Ethiopia, Nigeria, and other countries, women migrate to work as cleaners, nannies, caregivers, and housekeepers. Many travel to the Gulf, Europe, North America, and wealthier parts of Asia. Under the kafala sponsorship system used in several Gulf countries, a domestic worker's legal status has often been tied to one employer. This gives the employer substantial control over the worker's movement and ability to change jobs. Several countries have announced reforms, but reports of withheld passports, unpaid wages, confinement, assault, and excessive working hours continue. The woman who leaves her own children to care for another family's children may send most of her income home. Her labor supports two households at once. African women also make up a large share of informal employment. They sell food, clothing, medicine, household goods, and agricultural produce. They work on farms, in markets, from roadside stalls, and inside homes. The International Labour Organization estimates that most employed women in Africa work informally. Informal work usually provides no pension, health insurance, paid leave, unemployment protection, or reliable legal remedy. It still provides much of the daily income that keeps households alive. Education follows the same gendered pattern. Girls in parts of northern Nigeria are much less likely to attend secondary school than girls in southern states. Poverty, early marriage, insecurity, household work, and weak public education all contribute to the difference. Many girls leave school when they marry. A girl who spends hours each day cooking, cleaning, caring for siblings, or selling goods also has less time to study. UNESCO has estimated that millions of Nigerian girls of school age are out of school. The number reflects regional conflict, poverty, marriage, limited school access, and decisions within households about which children will continue their education. A family with limited money may educate a son while preparing a daughter for marriage. Another family may do the reverse. The point is that the household makes these choices within conditions of scarcity, and gender influences how the choices are made. Male bodies carry a different set of expectations. A son is often expected to become a financial provider. He may be sent into apprenticeship, manual work, migration, military service, mining, construction, transport, or another dangerous occupation. His standing in the family may depend heavily on whether he earns money. The pressure becomes especially visible when he reaches adulthood. A man who has no job, has not built a house, cannot support his parents, or cannot finance a marriage may be treated as though he has failed to become an adult. The judgment may remain unspoken, but it appears in family conversations, comparisons with siblings, marriage negotiations, and requests for money. Men also carry higher rates of death and injury in many dangerous occupations. They form much of the labor force in mining, construction, long-distance transport, commercial agriculture, and other physically dangerous industries. Migrant construction workers in the Gulf have faced heat exposure, unsafe housing, wage theft, and poor medical protection. The labor force that built infrastructure for the Qatar World Cup was overwhelmingly male. Thousands of migrant workers from South Asia died in Qatar during the decade before the tournament, although public reporting and official records have disagreed over how many deaths were directly connected to work. Many death certificates listed natural causes without fully examining heat stress or workplace conditions. Male psychological injury receives less attention. A man may carry financial responsibility for many relatives while receiving little permission to express fear, exhaustion, shame, or failure. Substance use, depression, violence, and suicide can grow inside that pressure. Nigeria has seen increasing public concern about codeine misuse, methamphetamine, cannabis mixtures, and other drugs among young men. Some men turn the pressure inward. Some direct it toward women and children in the household. The system places different burdens on male and female bodies. Women carry more reproductive risk, unpaid care work, sexual control, and domestic labor. Men carry intense pressure to earn, migrate, provide, and absorb occupational danger. Both can be harmed. The harm does not take the same form or occur at the same scale. Women have also created institutions to respond to these conditions. Edna Adan Ismail is a Somali nurse midwife who founded the Edna Adan University Hospital in Hargeisa. She underwent genital cutting as a child and later dedicated much of her career to ending the practice and training midwives. Nawal Noor, a Sudanese-American obstetrician, founded the African Women's Health Center in Boston to care for women who had undergone genital cutting before migrating to the United States. Our Thiam continued writing and organizing after the publication of Black Sisters Speak Out, Nawal El Saadawi, continued publishing until her death in 2021. Teresa Kachindamoto, a senior chief in Malawi, annulled hundreds of child marriages and returned girls to school. Nice Nailante Langete worked with Maasai communities in Kenya to develop alternatives to female genital cutting and child marriage. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie brought many of these questions into a larger public conversation through We Should All Be Feminists and through her fiction. These women come from different countries and make different arguments. Their work shows that women within these societies have long analyzed, challenged, and reorganized the conditions shaping their lives. The gender system found in Nigeria today also has a colonial history. Colonial governments and Christian missions introduced legal and social categories shaped by Victorian ideas about men and women. Colonial administrations often recognized men as household heads, property owners, wage earners, and political representatives. Women's authority in markets, lineages, religious institutions, and local government was frequently reduced or reclassified. The Igbo institution of the female husband and the Yoruba office of the Iyalode show that pre-colonial societies could organize authority in ways that did not fit the strict European division between male and female roles. Colonial law made that division more rigid. The wage economy deepened it. Men were recruited into paid labor, administration, mines, plantations, railways, and the military. Women's work was pushed more heavily into the household and informal economy, where it remained essential but received less formal recognition. The modern global economy still depends on this arrangement. Wages rarely cover the full cost of raising children, caring for older people, feeding workers, maintaining homes, and supporting sick relatives. Households absorb those costs. Within households, women absorb much of the daily work. That unpaid labor reduces the cost of maintaining the workforce for employers and governments. Nigeria's maternal mortality rate reflects another political history. Women die because clinics lack trained workers, blood, transport, medicine, electricity, surgical capacity, and emergency care. Those shortages come from decisions about public spending and infrastructure. The deaths appear inside families as personal tragedy. They also record the condition of the health system. The daughter, from the beginning of this episode, grows older. At 16, she marries. At 23, she gives birth to her first child, a son, in a private clinic in Lagos. Her husband's salary helps pay the fees. Her mother travels to Lagos before the delivery and remains for 2 months to care for her. At 26, she gives birth to a daughter. She calls her mother from the recovery room. Years earlier, her mother sat beside her on the bed and explained menstruation. Now they speak about the newborn girl. The grandmother knows what the child's body may be asked to carry as she grows. She also knows that the girl may live differently. Families repeat themselves, but they also change through the choices people make inside them. I know parts of this experience from my own life. I grew up close to the rooms where girls were taught what their bodies meant and where boys were kept outside those conversations. I saw how daughters and sons received different instructions, freedoms, duties, and warnings. I also carried those expectations with me when I left Nigeria. Migration changes the environment around the body. It does not automatically remove what the body has already learned. The next season follows these expectations into the diaspora. It begins with remittances, the money sent home by the people who left, and the obligations that continue across the distance.